Good morning, everybody. It is morning. It's February 8th, 2024. For the love of God, where did all this time go? Can you imagine? Mike, we're already like almost halfway done through the second month of the year. I disagree. I don't approve of that.
I don't either, but I don't control it.
Yeah.
So
Well.
nobody asked me if we should get an extra January because I would say, hell yeah, let's do that. I want to redo. Uh,
Mike, I live in Canada. If you add a month to the year, it cannot be January. I'm damn
yeah,
serious. It can be July, it can be August, it can even be June. I would prefer July or August, but you're not adding another freaking cold month to my year.
if we listen, if we put you in the beach, because we are, hey, just curiosity, say we're planning a hounds retreat now.
We
So
are.
I don't know how you're going to do it because you're so used to the cold, man.
No,
We
no,
might have to
I
get you an ice pack suit or something.
no. I get comfortable with warmth real quick. Well, I'm not made for
We'll
this
see.
weather. I love my country seriously. I really love living here because it's freedom of everything, freedom of speech, of religion, of everything. But yeah, I could go without the winters. But hey, that only means that I, you know, build my business so I can run it anywhere in the world as long as I have an internet access. And then, I'll live here and I'll become a snowbird. Just
Real quick, I picture the old school Frosty the Snowman where he keeps melting in the greenhouse. That's what I picture for you. We'll see.
no,
We'll have it on tape. People will see it. We'll have it live stream where
no,
you just
no.
melt into a putty.
Yeah,
But
no,
hey,
I
let me
won't
get.
melt.
You will.
No,
We'll have to see. All right.
you're
So
gonna you're
let
gonna
me get
take.
off stage. Let me get off stage because we have an amazing friend of mine, lady who has just not even changed my life and my business trajectory, but she has changed many, many in and outside the house. Yeah, and I'm gonna let you talk about that with her. So
Are
let me
you
run
running
the
my show
intro.
now? Is that what you're doing? You're running my show?
It's either me or a
That's
monkey
okay.
with a
That's why you're
tambourine,
here.
right? You got it. So,
Hey,
hey,
let's get that done.
you got it. Let's roll
Roll.
this. I can't wait to hear this lady. Let's do it.
Business is no longer only about products and services. More than ever, it's about connection and community. Business is about people. And that's why I created these live events. Every week, join me in discovering one remarkable individual. No shop talk here. It's about who they are and not what they do. My name is Isabel Fortin, and welcome to People, Passion, and Purpose. Guys, I know I say that every week. I'm so excited, but you don't understand how much I love this woman. This woman is all heart. She is giving, generous, sweet, and she's funny and she's effective. And I love her, love her, love her. I love working with her. And I couldn't wait to have her on because I don't know her that well. So, without further ado, guys, big round of applause for my new friend, Tanya. Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Isabel. I'm so excited to be here. I literally have been waiting for this all week, and this is the highlight of my week. So
Oh my God,
thank
that's
you.
easy.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Mike, Asher Brenner behind the scenes, I love you both so much. You're awesome.
Well, Mike is I keep on telling Mike I'm like an oiled stain in his life. I just won't go away. So he's stuck with me. And he keeps saying that he's happy with that. Little does he know, but let's not tell him. But you, honey, you've changed my life. Like in the last 6 weeks, you've changed my life.
Aw.
And just yeah, but you're sweet. So this is all about you. This is not what about you, what you do for a living. Although I say that every week because when we have entrepreneurs and we ask them about their personal life, of course, it's going to be intertwined with their business because they took their passion, they made a business out of it. And if it is, then it is. We're going to take you where you are. We're going to take what you are willing to share and offer the world. And it's going to be fantastic, I know. And my first question is always the same: dead or alive, ideally someone you actually knew, who has been the most influential on you and why?
Okay. All right. This one is really, really personal. And I've really kind of debated because there are some people who are alive that are really making inspiring me every single day. And, Michael, my business
Your
partner and
partner.
life partner. Yeah. He's up there. My mom and dad inspire me. So my children inspire me. I mean, all of that, but I'm going to go with one that is unfortunately no longer with us. And I think looking back on my childhood, she probably had the most inspirational effect on me and taught me more about life and how to treat people and how to be open to people and how to be accepting and tolerant and hardworking and all of those things. It was my Aunt Ethel. It's a very Southern name. She was actually my great aunt, so my dad's aunt. And she was like my grandmother. She was pretty much, and in fact, my grandmother growing up. I spent a lot of time at her home, a very humble home. She actually had a brother. There were 10 of them total. My grandpa was her brother. So, and most of the guys were in the moonshine business. So for those of you who don't know me, welcome to Dawsonville, Georgia, where I grew up. Dawsonville, Georgia is the moonshine capital of the world, and it's also where stock car racing got its start because the people in this area were making their cars go faster and faster to run from the law and what was called the revenuers, the tax, right? Because it wasn't against the law to make moonshine, but it was against the law to not pay your taxes on the moonshine you sold. And so that's why people were getting locked up, including my grandpa. Okay, so we can get to that later if you'd like. I'm going to get back to my Aunt Ethel, his sister. So I spent a lot of time with her growing up. And one of her brothers was in a wheelchair, and he'd been in a wheelchair since he was probably in his late teens. I watched her care for him every single day. She would get up at 4:30 in the morning, go to Gainesville, Georgia, and work at a chicken plant on her feet all day, and then come home and make dinner. So before she left the house to be at work 30 minutes away, she made my Uncle Harold, she made his breakfast, his lunch, and when she got home, she made his dinner. She took care of him. She dressed him. She moved him from the bed to the wheelchair. She did everything for him. And that was just one of the things that I saw as a child that makes me, it's a check and balance for me, a spirit check for me. A lot of times if I'm complaining about something, I think, wow, what am I complaining about?
Yeah.
Like I could work from anywhere in the world, just like you had mentioned, Isabel. So there are so many things, like literally, I do plan on writing a book about her. And I already know what the title of the book is. I'm not going to give it away here today, but I'll give it away on your show first when I'm ready to unveil it. How about that?
That's right.
But everything she taught me were just life lessons, and she was the most beautiful person inside and out. Every Sunday it was like a 7-course meal spread across this tiny little table in a tiny kitchen, and I helped her wash dishes in a little dishpan next to a broken down sink, right? And so these are the humble kinds of childhood memories that I have from growing up with her. And it was just amazing. It was amazing. So every time I spent time with her, I learned something. And I'll share this one last thing that'll kind of give you a little bit of an idea of how close we were. So every other weekend or so, I spent my time with her growing up. And then when I was around 12 years old, we found out she just couldn't take care of Harold anymore. He was in his 50s. It was too hard, and it was time to put him in a nursing home. I remember the day we took him, but I don't remember what she said about it. She said I cried all the way there and all the way back. because I didn't want him to go into a nursing home. So from age 12 to 18, or before I left home and went to Florida to go to college, I spent every single Sunday in a nursing home. From 12, almost every Sunday in a nursing home. And I loved it.
Him.
I loved it. I would just bounce down the halls and stick my head in and say, "Hey, how are you today, Miss Johnson? How are you, Mary? How are you, Dot?" Right? They were married to this couple of ladies that always hung out together. They were Mary and Dot, and I just loved them. So I got to be around a lot of older people who they give you that energy back, right? Because they have a lot of people who don't visit them. And so getting some attention from a little kid in a nursing home was a pretty big deal for them. And I was still, I consider myself a little kid even at 18, right? According to them, I would be. So that's a lot of how I grew up and a little bit of the story behind how she was so impressionable in my life. And I hope I didn't rattle on too long with that one.
No, it's your show, Tanya. And you say what you want in the order that you want. And
honoring her is a big deal.
And what I'm hearing actually is that she led by example. She showed you what true compassion is, what true love is, what true self-sacrifice, because caring for a handicapped person inside your home when you have to have a full-time job to support yourself and support your family and more than likely support that person too. That's just love in action.
It really is. And it just taught me a lot about tolerance. It taught me a lot about compassion more than anything.
Well, you learned your lesson well, my friend.
Well, thank you, Isabel.
I mean that. I don't say shit I don't mean. I really don't. I really don't. How long ago did she pass?
It's been about 5 years ago. And she made it to the ripe age of 100. 100 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she turned 100 on October 18th, and then she passed away the following February.
Okay, so that's why we get along, because my birthday is October 21st.
There you go.
So there you go. Now we found why we love one another.
And October is my favorite month of the year.
Oh, is it?
I'm a big fall weather person. I love it.
Yeah.
All that orange, look at the orange wall behind me, the orange coffee mug. I mean, all that orange can do no wrong, right? It's a color, it's an energy color.
That's true. So is red.
Yeah, that's true too. I love the reds in fall.
Yeah, it's it actually, nature becomes, I don't know, for me, fall, I love fall, not only because it's my birthday, but just because the nature has a funny way of telling you or showing you how beautiful it can be to let shit go.
That is so true. So true. It's a transformational time.
Yeah. And so is spring, mind you, but for other reasons.
True.
So how, I know you're a passionate person. We can tell it by just, hearing you speak about anything, but let's try to do it outside of work. If it's work, then that's fine. But outside of your work, what are you most passionate about? And how did you discover that passion?
Okay, so it is a personal story, and it reflects what I do today in my work, but I'll tackle it from the personal side of things. So when I was a kid, going back to my younger days, and Mike, you'll be happy to know I'm going to talk about moonshine here again. So moonshine, I didn't really realize it when I was growing up, but it was such a big part of the life of my family and everybody around me, which is a very, very cool story. I actually have a podcast coming out. I don't know when. I've got to find the time for it, but I've already shot several episodes of something called Moonshine Memoirs. And what I'm doing is I'm going back to my hometown and I'm interviewing some of the people that were moonshiners back in the day and the people that were in their lives, in terms of moonshiners. And I've got right out of the gate, I have two of the biggest names in moonshine history. And it's amazing. In fact, my uncle was the third person to be inducted into the Moonshine Hall of Fame. Now, I didn't get to interview him. He had passed on long before that, but I interviewed his son-in-law, my who was very instrumental in the moonshine business. He passed away, unfortunately, this past October, but I did get all of that on video before he passed. And it's amazing. It's amazing. So that part of it is super, super interesting to hear all those moonshine stories. But it does come with a dark side for anybody who knows. You put alcohol and substance into something, and darkness comes out of it a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so it was one of the reasons that I was raised in family on both sides, really, with a lot of alcoholism and addiction throughout the family. A lot of it. By the grace of God, it passed me, right? So I'm blessed about that. But I've seen it and lived with it. And as a kid, I always wondered, okay, why are people making these same decisions if they know it results in the same consequences? Okay, so you're going to do that. You're going to behave like that. You're going to end up here, right? And I was always this pragmatic kid and curious kid. It's like, I don't understand that person. Why are they doing this, right? And then I think, honestly, it didn't really dawn on me, Isabel, until about 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm sitting looking at Brand Face, and I had some amazing calls that week, and the people were so excited about their brands and everything, and talking about how it was changing them from the inside, right? And then it dawned on me, oh my gosh, there's always a connection to your past. And then I realized, well, sometimes the only difference between a young person sitting on a stoop waiting for the next drug deal or a young person headed off to college with a bright future is one thing: it's self-worth. It's self-worth. And so I figured that impacted me in such a way that just subconsciously, or by a destiny drawn out by God, right? I ended up in a space where we help people see the very best in themselves and put that out there to the world. And one of the things we really like to say is, a great brand doesn't just change the way other people see you, it changes the way you see yourself. And it took years before I realized that upbringing what spawned what I'm doing today, and had so much to do with it. If we really look back deeply at those kind of things, we always find something that connects. We always find it. And when I found it, it was like a aha moment, right?
A revelation.
It was pretty amazing. And it's become my passion because I remember even as a teenager, and especially a young adult, a lot of people my age would come to me and say, I need your advice on something. I need your opinion on something, because I was always very, very honest with them. Well, you're not going to get what you want out of life if you keep doing those things. You're better than that. Right. So let's look at this over here. And I think that was just a common thread that was, that's my part of the tapestry of life, I guess.
It's like everything that you just said is resonating with me, because for having worked with you, I could see the correlation between the original story, the first story, even the one about your great great aunt, and what you do now, caring for people and shining a light on, because we all like to pretend that we're very self-aware and all that crap, and it's crap. We're not self-aware. Some are a little bit more than others, and some aren't. And there's actually a study on that from Harvard University that was published in 2018. And if my memory serves correctly, the numbers are people who think they are extremely self-aware. The numbers were like around 90, like between 87 and 92. And people who are actually self-aware was between 5 and 10%. So
I can see that.
yeah. And the way that I tell people that, even in my business, is your life going exactly as planned? Is your life going exactly the way you want it? If the answer is this high, no, then you are not that self-aware, because you're creating your life. And therefore, if you're not creating exactly what you want and exactly what you think you deserve, truly, then it's because there's a flaw somewhere you have, or there's hurt somewhere you haven't healed yet. So, you've done that for me. we've worked together. We still work together. Thank the good Lord. And you ask very good questions and to get to the deep of who that person is, to draw out that talent and that uniqueness and that special thing that makes me the best at what I'm going to be offering the world, because only I can do it in that way, and draw it out and say, here is who you are. Here is what you are. Here is what I think you should be doing for that. And it's a gift to be able to do that, because we all need it. We all need someone to say, have you looked at like this behavior that you do? And people rush to show you your flaws. People rush to show you all the time that you've gone wrong, because it's an
I sure do.
ego-driven world. But when you have someone like you, like Mike, like CJ, like Susanna, like Dee Grant, whose show was phenomenal last night. If you weren't in, go check it out, please. Mike, put it in the comments somewhere. Put the link to the comment. But people like that who show up in your life and look at you and say, do you realize how wonderful you really are? And you go, what the?
Who, me?
Who are you talking about when you say all these beautiful things? And we all need that. We all need people like that in our lives.
It would change the world. It would literally change the world, and sometimes sometimes it's overwhelming for us all, because we look at different people and we think, well, if I could just maybe get them to see this or get them to do this, and then that would help change that person and put them on a different trajectory, right? And you can't save the world, but you can impact one person at a time, if they'll allow it. That's another thing. You really have to be able to allow that, right? And that's where, things get hung up once in a while. But I would say it's been something I have truly, truly enjoyed. And I literally did come into it just by nature, just by an organic path that was just guided, like we all do, honestly. We are all guided by an organic path according to how we grow up, who influences us, where we live, who surrounds us, all of those kind of things. And it really makes a big difference.
And it's all so interconnected. I was saying that recently. I was giving I was giving a speech or a conference, and somebody at the end of the conference came to see me, and she said, I've seen a lot of public speakers in my life, and I've rarely seen someone with that much ease. Where did you learn that? And I said, I didn't. I didn't. It's just that's in me. However, I did learn the skills, because there's a structure to how you do that. I learned the skills when I was 13 years old in the Air Cadets. I didn't know when I was learning them, I didn't know that it would apply to my life when I was 52. I thought I was going to be in the military forever. And it was a very structured way of teaching, but it still applies, because they taught me how to talk to a group of people, and visual people don't listen the same way if you don't stimulate
Very true.
And people who needs to touch and feel, they don't respond to you the same way. And but the point of all of this is every single part of my life, the same with you and the same with everybody else, is all interconnected. And when you take one step back and look at your journey, like you just did now, and say, well, this came from that. But when you were living it, you didn't know. You just trusted the process.
That's very true. And at the time you're going through the process, you don't even realize how it's shaping you. You really have no idea until later in life, when you gain enough wisdom and you realize, oh, that's why I did that, right? Or that's why so-and-so does this. And hey, I want to say a quick hi to a few people, Kristen and Claudia, of course, Mike, and Chasen. I know that's HR for you. I know that's Chasen. I see a few people that are friends, and I just wanted to say hi and thanks for coming out to support us. So appreciate it.
Your beautiful heart. That's what you did, guys. I'm always so focused on my guests. I don't take time to even read the comments. I go read them afterwards because I want to be present. I want to be staying in the
I
moment.
know, but they keep popping up in front of me, and it's like, oh,
Yeah,
I
they
know
don't know
that
you.
person. Oh, I'm so glad they're here, right?
It just shows how big your heart it really is. Hey, oh yeah, Jason, you're so right. Hindsight is 2020. It's easy. You
Yeah.
can only connect the dots. I read that literally yesterday. You can only connect the dots when you look back, because when you look
True.
forward,
There are no dots.
there are no dots. And you're
Right.
going towards the horizon, and guess what? You'll never reach it. You'll never be at the horizon. You're never going to get there. So you're always work in progress. So you can only connect the dots when you look back. And I try not to look back,
Yeah.
because that's not the direction I'm going. So
Well, that's the part of life I call adventure, right?
yes,
I love adventures. I like getting in the van and saying, where are we going this weekend, right? And we don't know. We really don't. Like Michael and I don't know where we're going this weekend. We know we have an event Friday night, and after that, we're probably going to go camp somewhere. We have no idea where. No. And I love that. It's like, this is an adventure. Like, and I love, like, I might utilize that. It's like, okay, where's the next dot, right? Because it can't become a good dot until you actually do it.
No.
And then it becomes a dot that you can connect the past to. But I love that. I love adventure. I love kayaking and hiking and biking and all that stuff outdoors. Ever since I was a kid, I as soon as the weather broke warm enough so I didn't freeze to death, I was outside.
You don't do it in the winter?
Well, funny thing is, we have this little cabin up on the New River in Virginia. And to call it a cabin when we first bought it would be way too gracious. It was a dump, right? And so we bought it for this $1 million view. Mike Asherbrander, you and Michael Carr are going hunting in your suits together. I just don't know what suit you're talking about. I hope it's not your birthday suit, because Michael has a birthday coming up next week. But I'm assuming it's your camo, but hey, like the Blues Brothers. Okay, that's good. That'll work. Okay. So it was 28 degrees one morning, and we're sitting out on our porch by the river because we love it so much. So now we did cheat a little. We have a propane heater that sits right between us and like beams this heat down on our heads, but we're wrapped in blankets with coffee in our hands and rocking chairs, staring out at the river at 28 degrees. I kid you not. I should have taken a video of all the, the breath coming out of our faces. Right?
Next time.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun.
And we, as you know, I live in cold country up here in Canada, and the restaurants open their terraces in March with heaters, because as Canadians, if we don't enjoy the outdoors in the winter, well, we're never going to enjoy the outdoors. So it's just, we say there are no bad weather. There's just only bad clothing.
That's true. Well, I got to tell you this quick story. I posted about this months ago. It was last summer, and we're at the river, and we've been there by that point almost 2 years, and still working on the house and trying to get it up to par. And I'll show videos and so forth in the near future. But if you look down the river, if you get in the river, it actually is one of the few rivers in the U.S. that flows north, and so it flows north, and everybody local would tell us, we'd say, hey, can you kayak down that way? We asked this for like a year and a half, right? Can you kayak down that way? And all the locals would say, hell no, you'll do that. There's like class 3 and class 4 rapids down that way. You don't want to go that way. And of course, Michael and I are looking at each other and going, yeah, we do. But we were terrified because we thought, well, what if it is really dangerous down there? Because we're experienced kayakers, but you can say experienced and still get yourself into a lot of trouble. So just one day we thought, why the hell not? Let's do it. So we drag the kayaks down the hill. We get in the water, and literally there's probably maybe 1 or 2 class 3 rapids down there. No kidding, there are. But most of them are around 1s and 2s, so it's totally fine. A lot of rocks in the water, But then we got back and we thought, how stupid crazy were we? Like, we could have died down there and there's nobody to come get us, right? And you're on a river, and the next place where you could like get to a road where we could get out and somebody could come get us was like a couple 3 miles down the water. So who knew what was going to happen? But it's like this huge adventure. And if you don't like live life like a kid like that, you're missing something, because you just got to do it. I mean, what's the worst thing that could have happened? We could have just like found a way to walk through the woods and find some guy and knock on his door and say, hey, can you give us a ride back? And in Galax, Virginia, you can do that kind of thing most of the time. You can't necessarily do that outside of Atlanta anymore. Too big a city.
No. Yeah. It makes, hang on. Let me make an entire sentence out of my thought here. It keeps you in joy. Adventures like this keep you in joy, because you're you're just talking about it. You've lived this a year ago and you're just talking about it, and your face lights up because you're like, holy crap, we did that. But and to connect to our joy, we need to connect to our inner child that's still there, banging on, on the inskirts of responsibility, saying, let me out, I want to play. So it's important to find, like, for me, don't put me in a kayak on the river. I don't know. I'm going to commit suicide. I wouldn't. That was a bad joke, but okay. So please don't. Okay, suicide is not an option for me. Thank goodness.
We'll get a raft for you instead.
Yeah, exactly. But salsa dancing does that for me. I light up. I get on a good song, a good dance partner, good dancing shoes. The entire world goes away, and you could not beat off the smile off my face with a baseball bat, even if you tried really, really hard. But that's the kid. That's the child in me that comes out and plays, and it's so important. It's crucial. That's what life's all about.
Totally agree. And we love dancing too. In fact, one of our brand face clients is a past swing dance world champion, West Coast Swing. And I asked him one day, I said, we love to dance. We just have no idea what we're doing. We've been watching some YouTube videos and just lapping it up. This was during COVID. And so he calls me and he says, you want to try West Coast Swing? Go look up those videos, because you can do that kind of dancing pretty much anywhere. And so I thought,
music.
We'll do it. So we mess around with it once in a while and have a lot of fun with something like that. I think the most fun part is that sometimes we really suck at it and we don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not professionals here. We're just having a little fun. But it does, dancing just lights me up. I absolutely love it. Who knew, right?
And West Coast Swing, they do, even their competition is not, it's not like ballroom. They do literally Jack and Jill. So they pick, women will pick the name of who they're going to be dancing with and compete with.
And that freaks me out. Like they've been dancing together for decades. And I thought, how in the world did they do that? I can't even put 3 steps together over here and get it right more than twice.
They just do it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. It's just experience. You would do it as often as they did, and you'd get as good.
Maybe. Maybe not. But
when we meet, we're gonna dance.
Yeah.
That's it. We're going to put music on and salsa by ourselves if we have to.
Okay, I'll do that.
On the beach in Myrtle Beach, Mike.
That's right. I hear there's an upcoming Hounds hangout somewhere.
Yeah, we're aiming for July. Let's see if it works, but we're aiming for July. And Mike, I wanted to kick his butt. And guys, I know I'm being violent in my comments today, but I'm not a violent person. But yesterday, he deserved a whooping. Because he told me he hadn't gone to the beach since he was 12 years old, and he's 42. That's
we have to change that now.
That is unacceptable.
Yes, so we need a camo Speedo too, Mike. Here's the funny thing. My brother's like this awesome redneck, right? He is one of my most favorite people in the world, and he loves to mess with me. So when I lived in Ohio, had little kids, he comes up and I'm sitting in this like quintessential suburban neighborhood. Everybody sits out on their front porch and kids ride by on bikes and people walk dogs and everything. So my brother comes to visit and I come home from work and he's sitting on my front porch wearing a Howard Stern wig and a cut off flannel shirt. And he thinks that's the greatest thing in the world. And then he says, wait till I break out my rebel flag Speedos. And I said, no, sir. So, nope.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Mike says he wears a one piece. That's all right. We can find a camo one piece. It's all right, Mike. You already have the matching hat and you need some matching flip flops.
You know what, Mike?
You, brother.
I'll hire a seamstress to design one for you.
Trust That's right.
Me.
Yep. Sorry about the camo Speedo comment. It comes from my brother.
Oh my God, that was so funny. Hey, my last question and sub questions, whatever, is again always the same. And I find that if I started my LinkedIn journey about 2 years ago, and like every second person I met or third person that I met and I got to have a one-on-one with all talked about their purpose and how they found their purpose. Either they have found it and they wanted to speak about it, or they were desperately looking for it and didn't know where to look. And that's one of the reasons I called this show like this, is because I'm interested in people. Excuse me, I keep coughing. I'm interested in people. I'm an extremely passionate person, as you know, and I want to help people find their purpose, and I want to help people with their purpose, regardless if it's to find it or just to pursue it. But I'm always intrigued to know, have you found your life's purpose? And if so, how?
Well, I think it's always evolving for sure. And I think, I do want to address that from a couple of different angles. So I'll answer that question directly first. I loved it when Michael said this one day, and I thought, maybe it really is. He said, Tanya, your purpose is to illuminate people. No. And I thought, how sweet, first of all, how kind, right? And I thought, well, with what we do, right, and in personal branding and things, that does absolutely illuminate people and help them present themselves in a way they really deserve, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think illuminating people, and I'll tell you, I'll grab a little, let me grab this, a little fun story for you that I think will articulate this from a more personal angle than anything. Hi, D. Grant. And hi, Dr. New. I just saw your comments come up. Love you guys.
Damon, too. Damon.
And hi, Damon. Hi, Damon. Okay, so in terms of illuminating people, love my parents very, very much, and they're both the most wonderful people. Well, my dad, when he was young, he was the product of two violent alcoholics. His parents were pretty violent, and they were good people, but they came from a bad era of doing bad things, and it affected them in a terrible way, right? And so my dad had this very turbulent childhood. Well, as a result of that, because, great things come out of that, right? What creates a diamond? A lot of pressure, right? Mm-hmm. So as he was growing up, he became a local basketball star. And when he was a senior in high school, I think it was number 9 in the state of Georgia, in terms of high school basketball players. He actually, his senior year, he averaged 31 points a game. Okay, and get this for you basketball fans, without 3-point lines. Now, I calculated, being the kind of curious person I am, that actually beats not only Michael Jordan's high school scoring record, but also LeBron James's high school scoring record. Wow. He beats their high school scoring records at an average point per game. I considered the fact that Michael Jordan did not have 3-point lines, but LeBron James did, and considered all of that. That's a fun fact for you guys. So anyway, senior year, Surprise, my mom gets pregnant. I come
Oh.
along, right? So Dad says two things. You kept me out of Vietnam, for one. Thank you, right? The other thing is, well, I didn't get to go to college and play college ball. Now, I argued with him. Sure, you could have, Dad. It's like, I'm just a kid. Take me with you to the court, right? So anyway, I ended up 2 years ago writing his memoir, which is called The Raising of a Rebel, 12 Turning Points from a Child of Alcoholics. Here's a little photo of the book here. So that's around the same time that Michael said that to me. He said, your purpose is really to illuminate people, because he read through, I would read Michael every time I'd finish a chapter, I would read one to him. And he would say, wow, I'm getting to know your dad more and more, and liking him even more as we go through this book. Right. So to me, I think if I can leave that legacy behind of helping people tell their stories in a way that makes them feel worthy, right? Maybe that's it. So, long answer to a short question, but thank you, Isabel.
It was the perfect answer to whatever question. And that's it. I knew that's the book you were reaching out when you got up, and that's why I went like this. I didn't know you were going to share the entire backstory, which wasn't rosy, but something positive came out of that. First of all, you. So
Thank you.
We were grateful for that. But the reason you had showed this book to me is because I'm a rebel. It's just that I am not a rebel without a cause, right? So
yes,
and for me, and I'm gonna get teary-eyed here, but for me, the fact that you have written this book and worked with me years after is you made me show that being the rebel that I am is not a bad thing.
Oh no, it's the best thing.
Exactly. But when you are the rebel and you're kind of, the black sheep of the family, mind you, I'm loved and appreciated and accepted as exactly who I am in my family. So I'm not complaining about that, but I'm very, very different from them. You always feel a little bit like you're an outsider. And you brought that with that book, just by showing that book, you brought that out and say, well, that's, I recognize that in you, and you need to hone into that, because that's what makes you, and it's positive and it's great, and it's, it's great, and the world needs it. So it's funny how it's beautiful. Actually, it's not funny. It's beautiful how life has made me invite you to be a guest on my show, and your purpose was literally to help me. So I find that beautiful and divine.
Well, you're beautiful. Thank you so much, Isabel. It took, you say other people are able to see things we can't. Same thing happened for me, right? Our brand face clients over these last several years, they're the ones that brought this to light for me of like, okay, well, why am I doing this? And each time they would say something that made me feel good about our work together, it made me think back to my childhood. And it's like, oh, well, that totally makes sense, right? And even I didn't know that really deeply going into the whole journey of what we do today. But I know it now as a result of meeting so many amazing people and helping them figure things out that they couldn't see. Isn't that really what we all do anyway? Like D. Grant's another one, he mentioned about helping. He said we have something, a lot in common. He's absolutely right. Finding that, thing about people and helping them really illuminate that they maybe can't see. Hey, if God gave us all the ability to see everything within ourselves, we wouldn't need other people, right? And so we all do this to an extent, right? I think we do anyway.
But it's true. It's true. If we were meant to be completely self-sufficient, we wouldn't need other people. There would be no needs for a community. No, that's beautiful. That's gonna stick with me.
And if we all weren't so different, if we all didn't have like these quirky things about us, then it would be like Stepford Wives, right? Who wants that? Who wants the same thing over and over and over again? Like, it's the uniqueness in us that makes us attractive, whatever that uniqueness is. We all have that.
Yeah. I often compare it to the weather. When people are complaining about their flaws or the fact that they've made a mistake, I truly don't believe in mistakes, to be honest with you, because if you take the lesson out of it, then it's not a mistake. It's just a learning
Yeah.
experience. But it's, for some people, it's just a wording thing. But, I say, well, if you didn't have flaws, then you wouldn't be you. And it's like, yeah, but then life would be perfect. And I said, okay, so imagine it's,
Good luck with that, by the way.
yeah. But imagine it's 80 degrees, a cool breeze. You're on it's a beautiful hot summer day and it's Sunday. Oh, that's the dream. Okay,
Yeah.
so tomorrow is the same. And a week is the same. And a month is the same. And 3 months is the same. And after 4.5 months, depending on your tolerance, I would ask for it before. You say, when the fuck is it going to rain? Because you need the rain. You need the rainy day. I love rainy days in the summer because I can have a nap in the afternoon and not feel guilty. And I can just lounge around my house and watch Netflix if I want to, because that's what rainy days are for me. Or I can just sit there and spend the entire day reading a book because that's what it provides. Well, that's the same thing with our flaws. It provides opportunities to learn, to grow, and to need other people, thank goodness.
It does. It does. And as soon as I figured out, hey, there's people out there as weird and quirky as me, and we all have a purpose, it's awesome.
You're not that quirky,
We're
but
just
you
all
are. I didn't notice.
in different ways. We're weird and quirky, right? I accept all mine. It's okay.
Yeah,
I've lived with it
same.
for a long time already.
Yeah, same here. I always give the opportunity for my guests to ask me anything they want. So you're obviously under no obligation, but do you have a question for me?
I do. And yes, hounds of business, we all are weird and quirky in our own ways. And that's why the birds of a feather flock together, right?
That's right.
Or the pack, right? The pack sticks together. Okay, so my question for you would be that, because I think you can tell so much about a human being with an answer to this question. Okay, people in your past, no longer with us right now. Who is the person in your past that you think of more often? Doesn't have to be every day, but more often than anybody else from your past, and why is that?
Deceased?
Yes.
My mom.
Why?
I don't know if you know the story. Some people in the audience do. My mom passed away. I was 5 and she was only 36. And I'm healed. My heart is healed. I've done the work. I drank the Kool-Aid. I'm healed. I no longer suffer from what that event created in my life. When I do feel sadness, and it's actually very rare, but when I do feel sadness, I feel sadness for her because she didn't get to see her kids grow up. There are 3 siblings. I'm the youngest, so we were 11, 9, and 5. And she didn't see my sister get married, and she didn't see the birth of her grandkids and her great grandkids. And I honestly do not think of her that often, again, because I am healed. But when I do, well, in the bunch of angels that I have, because I have very, very, a lot of, I've lost a lot of people in my life. She's the one that I think of the most often.
What is one memory you have of her?
It's a feeling. The one that comes back the most is a feeling, and we were so much alike, and it scared my dad, actually. Yeah, we were so much alike. So it's the mother's love. That's and actually, to be 100% truthful with that answer, I should have said my mom. I should have said Oscar, my dog. But
I was wondering. Yeah.
but that's just because he passed away last week. And I am still in the moments where he's everywhere in the house, even though I I removed as much as his things, except for the things that I did want to keep. I removed his things just because what's the point of, having 4 dog beds if you don't have a dog? And I preferred giving them away to the SPCA here, so that the dogs that are alive now that needs a good bed and a warm blanket can have them. But yeah, he like I'm as far as Oscar is concerned, it's still very fresh. So I haven't gone through everything that I need to get through to remember what it's like not having him. But humans, yeah, it'd be my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was such a lovely conversation. I adore the hell out of you. You know that.
Aw, back
And
at you,
I'm
Isabel.
I'm really sorry you're like I'm gonna be an oiled stain in your life too, because now you can't get rid of me.
No, you're a fragrant flower. And that it's roses you smell every time Isabel's around. See? That's how you gotta look at it. An oil stain, that's too dirty, Isabel.
Hey, it could be olive oil. It
That's
doesn't
right.
matter.
Well, that's true. That's true. One of my
How can
favorites.
we've been having your Lincoln and your website. How can we get a hold of you? And I encourage people to work with you if they need help figure out their branding or revamping their branding. How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can DM me or reach out to me, connect with me through LinkedIn and DM, and we can start a conversation there. If you want to know more before you do that, you can go to brandfacestar.com, and that's where a lot of our reviews are and just some of the things you'll want to hear what other people say. And so that's usually the biggest test of, of whether you want to talk to somebody. What do other people say, right? So that's where you'll find a lot of that.
From me.
Thank you, Isabel.
Guys, next week is someone that's not in the house. He's a very close friend of mine. He lives in Toronto. He's a business coach. He is so funny and helpful. And because I surround myself with only positive people, his name is Rob. I hope you guys join us so you can meet him next week. Tanya, I love you. Mike, thank you for running the back end. And I will see you all next week. Bye, guys. Thanks for being here.
Bye. Thank you for having me, Isabel. And Mike, thank you.